Welcome to the Motocross Supercross podcast. Podcast.
3, 2, 1, 0.
Motocross Supercross podcast.
Episode 167. San Diego is in the books. Well, kind of in the books. There's still a lot going on with this race, even though it is over. But we're going to get into all of that. I'm Adam here with Claudio. What's up, Claudio?
Yeah, there's drama.
Drama brewing. And it all has to do with this lime, this drying agent that they mixed in with the dirt to try and dry out a completely pond mudfest track. So very interesting. All these riders are actually getting burned by this chemical and it's ruining their bikes. It's a huge issue. The Feld released a statement. The AMA released a statement. It's actually a really big deal.
Yeah, there is a lot of riders actually having problems with this chemical that they try using on the track to work on the more wet areas. And lucky for us, we're going to have someone on the line for you guys to explain it all.
That's right. And let's go over this Feld statement really quick because theirs was definitely so much longer than the AMA statement. The AMA statement was really short, but the Feld statement said, Supercross riders affected by a drying agent applied to the dirt track, which may have caused skin irritation and damage to their bikes. The well-being of our riders, teams, and crew is always a top priority for us at all Supercross events. Given last week's forecast of rain for Saturday's events in San Diego, the track crew took normal precautions to ensure a safe and raceable racetrack. Prior to the qualifying rounds and main event, they removed the protective tarp and applied the drying agent, a lime and sand mixture, to treat 2 areas on the track and remove moisture from the dirt. This process has been used safely for decades at Supercross to dry dirt and thereby reduce risk of accidents for the riders. It appears that the unprecedented amount of rain on Saturday prevented the lime from mixing with the soil as usual. This resulted in splashing of the riders and their bikes, which may have caused skin irritation to some riders and damage to their bikes. We are currently reaching out to each rider who participated in Saturday's race to assess the extent of the impact, ensure the welfare to get them back on their bikes and racing. We are also reviewing our existing processes to deal with excessive water on the track to prevent a reoccurrence. Now, it's very curious that they always say may. Oh, it may have caused it. No, it didn't may have caused it. It caused it. I've seen all the pictures. Everyone's talking about it. It definitely caused damage.
Well, if it would have been just one rider, we would have been like, okay. But it's numerous people, and that's very irresponsible from them. I don't know what they were thinking whenever they put this in the soil or in the dirt to quote unquote dry it out. Whoever did this, I don't know if about being punished, but something should happen. There's a lot of riders, a lot of privateers that, they don't have the luxury of having 2-3 bikes waiting for them. And as you mentioned, this thing stuck to everything, burning, not only your skin, but also, leaving a mark on your bike, like very hard to come off. And
yeah, it actually corroded away parts of the bikes and stuff. So without any further ado, let's talk to someone who was there. So joining us on the line right now, or line, I should say, we've been talking a lot about the lime, but joining us on the line, a rider who witnessed the craziness of San Diego, and that is Bubba Pauli. Bubba, thank you for joining us this evening.
Thanks for having me on, guys.
So San Diego was obviously crazy. Everybody is talking about just this lime and sand, whatever it is, they mixed into the soil that's burning everyone, ruining people's bikes. And we just want to get your perspective on, one, how your night went because you had a season best, and also the effect that this lime had on you and your bike. So first, how are you doing after this race?
I'm doing pretty good. Typically after a mud race, you're, pretty sore, beat up. I felt pretty good. I think that my fitness is in a good place now, and I was able to, control the bike and push through the long, the main event and the rest of the racing that we did. So physically, I'm feeling good. I do have some burns on my body and stuff, which aren't pleasant, but it's not the end of the world, you get burned by an exhaust, and it's going to be a little worse. But yeah, I mean, there's a couple spots in my body that are pretty nagging, and I wish they weren't there. But it is what it is.
Yeah, we heard a lot about these burns being on, like, everyone was complaining that their nipples were burned and their crotches were burned. That was like the two main areas, and that's two areas that's some sensitive areas right there.
Yeah, I actually didn't have any on either of those. I wear a chest protector, so I think I have like an outline of where some burn marks are, like around the chest protector. So I don't think my nipples were affected by that any. And I actually wear my gear, a base layer, and then my underwear. So I have 3 layers in my my crotch region. So I think that was
good.
But didn't have a base layer under my jersey or anything like that. And then on my butt, I think I was just rubbing into the seat so much where it worked its way through. But I guess what I understand, a base layer would have been key there. Some of the riders I talked to that did wear a base layer, they didn't have hardly anything. So wish I would have known that before.
Did you put all these layers on because of, like, you kind of knew that was going to happen with the situation, or it just happened to layer up for the mud race?
No, that's typically what I wear no matter what. Even if it's the middle of summer,
Gotcha.
I wear, like I said, it'll be like a 3-layer system that I wear in my pants, and then typically I just wear my under protector and a jersey up top,
Gotcha.
no matter what the conditions are. But it would have been nice to know a base layer under my jersey would have helped.
Yeah, so pretty much anyone who got burned, they're just out there free balling. They're not wearing anything underneath.
I don't know. I don't know if I want to know either.
All right, so let's talk about this track. Now, we were watching the practice on TV. They had the tarps on all day. It wasn't really raining at first. They pull the tarps off. The rain lets loose, and it is right from the get-go. It's just a huge mud fest. What was your first impressions of the San Diego track?
Well, I thought it was crazy at first because we had some rain leading up to the race. They delayed the schedule before the rain so they could leave the track covered and preserve it as long as possible. And, come to find out, it didn't even rain in the beginning part of the day. So
Exactly.
That was kind of unfortunate. But then again, if it did start raining when they already had it open, then it would be way gone. But unfortunately, the rain didn't start until they uncovered it. So either way, it was going to be like a lose. So they did the best they could. I feel like they're right.
A lot of waiting around?
Oh, yeah. It was kind of a bummer because it was like windy and kind of a little drizzly, so the pits weren't too active. So, we just kind of took our time and, hung out with the team and some other riders and other teams and stuff. Kind of got to have a little bit more downtime and kind of boring, but, we made it work. Went to get ready to go racing. As soon as we got our gear on, the skies opened up, started raining, so that was fun.
Yeah, it was definitely super wet. I know we were bummed because we waited all day to watch this practice, and right before the practice starts, they ended the broadcast. But this first practice was super wet. It was actually, like you said, it was raining. We talk about kind of the conditions, about how the track was whenever it was raining, and then how it was whenever it stopped raining and got really thick.
Yeah, so when it was raining, the track got slower throughout. Every time we were out there, every person got slower each lap, basically. It's just like anything, it starts off, there's not a deep rut, and then it gets worse and worse and worse. So, and then typically when it does stop raining, it thickens up, and that slows it down even more. So the track was a little better as it was raining, but it was a little harder to see at that point too. So. There's pros and cons to whichever way you look at it, but it's a mud race, no matter what.
Have you always been like awesome in the mud, or is that something that just kind of?
Man, I've had some pretty good races in the mud. And this fall, I actually rode quite a bit in the mud. The weather was kind of crappy in Illinois, so I didn't necessarily like it, but I was like, man, I gotta get my laps in. I gotta put the laps in, and. So I'd go out and ride. Sometimes the track was only good enough where I could ride 2 lanes at a time, and I'd go out and spend the whole day ride 2 lanes in mud. And it's kind of funny because honestly, I felt like I was riding about 50% this weekend. And
oh wow!
So looking back at it, I'm like, man, why was I being so cautious? I was, a lot better than a lot of other guys. I was like, wow. In the heat race, I think I had the 6th fastest lap time. So. And I was he was easy. I told myself, like, oh, easy transfer spot. Unfortunately, I went down.
Yeah. When did they add it, the chemical for quote unquote the drying of the moisture?
So I'm pretty sure it's just like a lime, maybe like a lime powder, similar to what they would use in like concrete or, another types of construction work, I guess. But I think they may have mixed some into it as they built the track before they covered it a couple days before. And then right after they untarped it, I think they mixed some more in with it. Unfortunately, you can't do too much when it's raining. So, and then mixing.
Yeah.
There was a lot of standing water too, so I think it mixed in with the water, not necessarily the soil. If it was no water, more soil, I think it would have been better. But I'm not a soil engineer, chemist, whatever. I don't know the best combination what you would need to make it work the best.
Yeah.
But from what I understand, it's the same as what they always do. It was just the wrong timing and the same amount and everything. And they're not going to do the same thing in the future. I'll tell you that.
I think they learned after this one.
Not a good combination.
Definitely. Now Feld released a statement that said they were reaching out to all the riders. Have they reached out to you yet?
Yeah, I actually got a phone call from some guys over at Feld just a little bit ago, and they were super apologetic. Obviously, they didn't mean for this to happen. I understand that. I wasn't mad at them.
Yeah.
It was a mistake. Unfortunately, we're the ones that are, getting the kind of the worst end of the stick. But they are very willing to work with everybody. A lot of guys are, kind of bashing them and stuff. It's like, it was an accident. I understand that. And they're willing to help us, as much as possible. And, they said they're willing to, help with some of the repairs and stuff on the motorcycles and all that. So, I don't got too much details on what they're willing to do, but, I'm definitely thankful for it because they don't technically really have to do anything, they could brush it off and, they want to make sure they're doing the best they can. So, I do appreciate that, but overall, it's still kind of a crappy situation.
Of course, yeah. You actually posted a picture on Instagram of your bike, and your caption said, "This brand new motorcycle's destroyed. This part makes me so sad. Hashtag protect the bike." So how is your bike? Is it completely garbage or what?
Yeah, they're pretty tore up. All the aluminum basically just took a crazy beating, and I was pretty bummed about that because we take pride in our motorcycles. It's
exactly
yeah. The season, you try to make it last as long as you can and make it look good. For your sponsors and pictures, and even resale at the end of the season. You want it to be good. And one race just to zap all the nice aluminum finish that we worked so hard to protect down there was. I didn't even make me mad. Honestly, I was just like I said, I was sad. Like I was just like, oh, like dude, such a bummer.
That's gotta suck, especially for you guys as not a factory team. You don't have the opportunity to get 27 bikes in a year.
Yeah, it's never good. But it's what it is. We gotta work to make it better.
So what's that process going to be like for getting your bike good for this weekend? Are you going to put a new frame on it or get a new motor or just try and clean it up as much as you can? How's that going to happen?
Man, we got between the mechanics helping us out and the riders working on them too. We had a little over 50 man hours working on the bikes. Try to get them cleaned up, but unfortunately they didn't do much good with what we were trying to do. So, we did get packed up, left California. We're headed to Minneapolis right now. I'm on the road. We're in Wyoming. So,
Wyoming.
It's unfortunate that we have a 2,000-mile drive the week that we need the most amount of time to work on the bike. But so more than likely, our bikes are going to look like they did when we packed them up when we get to Minneapolis, because we're not going to have much time. So, but the coming weeks we'll have a little bit more downtime once we base ourselves on the East Coast for the rest of the season, and so we'll start to work on that, get them one by one back together and back to that showroom look that we like to represent.
You're excited about the East Coast?
Yeah, I always get excited when we go back east, get the softer dirt. I'm from the Midwest, so it's exciting. Get to go spend some more time at home and on the dirt that I'm familiar with. I'm just not really a West Coast guy, so it was nice to end the West Coast with a good race, get the main event, score a handful of championship points, so that was awesome. But I definitely never done that on the West Coast round before in the first part of the season. So
There you go. Yeah, practice A for Minneapolis, huh?
I'm sure. I think not sure how that plays out. Sometimes the main event guys will get pushed in there. I think it depends how many guys are in the top 20. I'm just outside the top 20 of points, so we'll see how they organize that. But if I am, great. If I'm not, we'll be back to where we were.
Gotcha. Last time we talked to you, you guys were having a little situation with the radio in the van. Have you guys fixed that up? Did you upgraded the van, or are you still driving the last year's van?
Still in last year's van. The Sprinter van's going strong. The radio fixed itself, so that was awesome.
Oh,
Okay. All right. What about how many miles you got on that thing now?
We're about to hit 230,000 by I think tomorrow morning will be at 230.
dude, that's awesome though. He's got a car that repairs itself. That's like a human body. It's got its own body.
Yeah. So get this. The starter messed up in it a couple weeks ago, and I thought we were going to be stranded a couple times. So I went and bought a starter for it, put it in the van, and sit behind the passenger seat, and it hasn't messed up since. So, I think it needed the starter in the van, but not necessarily hooked up.
She just wanted to know that you were taking care of her, just in case, She's like, all right, I can go again.
Exactly.
There you go. So you still drive all the time, right?
Yeah, we're driving to. We'll be driving to most of these races this year. We'll be flying to some of the later ones. We got to Seattle, Houston, probably Las Vegas, and my mechanic will be driving the van and stuff. So sometimes it's tough traveling on the road, but I enjoy it at the same time. We get to see a lot of places. Except right now being dark outside, you can't see anything. But
things haven't changed with John Cross, huh? You don't let him drive either.
John's driving right now.
Oh, nice. Okay.
Yeah, I'm sitting shotgun. He's taking over. He's got about 190 miles in him right now. So we'll see. I think we're going to start looking for a hotel here soon tonight. So get some dinner, get some rest, and we'll finish out the drive tomorrow. I think we got about 14 hours or so left before we get to Minnesota. So
wow.
Get in there maybe Wednesday night, go do a little local indoor track. We're going to do some riding over there possibly before the race. And we'll we're going to put some new graphics and stuff on the bike before the race on Friday and get everything ready to go.
There it is.
Nice.
So how has your Supercross prep been this season, maybe like compared to last season? Do you feel a lot better this year?
Yeah, the 2019 Kawasaki 450 is a great bike. It's a lot better platform than what we had last year. Took some getting used to, but that was good. And just every year racing, you get more confident. You know how to do things. You build a bigger base, and like I said, I feel like my fitness is better than it ever has been, and a little bit more confident in my riding abilities. Cool, calm, collected, I guess you'd say too. A little less pressure, a little more stress with the team this year, but just because we're doing a lot more and fulfilling more of a management role too with that. So, it's fun, big learning process, but, there's a lot going on that I didn't deal with, last year as much. So, we're just growing, we're trying to make this racing thing as serious as possible and be as professional as possible. So I wouldn't trade it. And, like I said, we're growing. So I'm excited for what's to come.
You mentioned that you guys are going to be driving a lot. How do you guys mix in practice time? I know you said you were going to go to like an indoor place over there, but like how did you do it whenever you were doing the West Coast pretty much?
Yeah, so on the West Coast, me and my teammate rent a house like Elsinore, so we kind of have like a home base out there, which is nice. We're not just like living out of hotels and bumming rooms off of people and stuff. So so we go out to the practice track, 2 to 3 days a week, depending on how our bodies and the travel and stuff feel for the week before. Typically, on the West Coast races, get back to the house on Sunday after the race, sometimes Saturday night, depending on where it is. Get the bikes ready Sunday, hit the track Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, get stuff ready on Thursday, head to the track on Friday. And kind of how it goes for the first, 5 races we did so far, 6 races. So, yeah. And, And then on the East Coast, it changes because we're different places, different times. The weather is a lot more consistent. So, normally if we can get, at least one, ideally two, hopefully 3 days right during the week, we do it. But, there's a lot of people that we know around the country. So, help us out, places to stay and places to ride and all that. So it's, like I said, years of doing it, you learn more, you get more experience, where to go, when to go, and how to go. So, it's fun. Like I said, I get to meet a lot of cool people.
Definitely. Well, we're going into Minneapolis. That was your best result last year, too. So do you feel like you have a little connection to the stadium? You feel like you're coming in with some momentum for this weekend?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, anytime you do get in a stadium, you feel a lot more, I'd say confident, but more relaxed going to it anyway, no matter where you're at in the season. Likewise, if you had a bad race there, a bad couple of races there in the past, sometimes it's hard to get over that. So, good results always help the vibe, but, obviously new track, new year, a lot of new stuff going on. So it's important to approach every race, the same and just be ready to tackle the weekend and push through it, at all costs. But yeah, definitely, I'm excited to go back east first off. And, I like the stadium. I like the city. Did good there last year. So, it's a pretty good recipe for another good weekend. But when it comes down to it, we got to go out and execute it, get it done. So, good vibes and good past experiences aren't gonna do it for us. We got to go out and do it.
Do you think that the class is a lot more competitive this year than last year?
It's hard to say. I think I measure stuff on various scales, as many things as possible. And typically, like the gap from where the leaders are to where I'm at, to where 20th place is, to where 40th place is, and whatever else, they tend to tighten up just about every year pretty consistently. So I think it's trending in that direction this year. The field is closer and closer and closer and closer, no matter what race we're at. But yeah, some people say it's the most jacked Supercross season they've ever seen. Some people say, a couple of years ago was different, but, it's hard to say. I think every year, it gets a little harder. You got to up your game up, and, sometimes your results are better, sometimes they're worse. So it's always tough, man. Best guys in the world.
That's great. Well, just to wrap this up, obviously you're making it happen this year. You want to throw in some sponsors and make sure we get those in there real quick?
Yeah, man. I always, I've got a ton of sponsors helping me out, and I don't ever want to sound like a billboard, but I want to try to get everybody in there. So, I'll start from the top.
This is your time.
TXS Production, stepping up, second year being the main sponsor of this program. It's awesome. Outlaw Motorsports helping us out with bikes. We got the Hitch Hotel, the Frog Fitness, crazy, gnarly workout machine. I think will kick your butt, get you in shape. That's a big part of what's going on this year, too, for me. So happy to have them on board.
All right.
Moto Hub, St. Louis Tattoo Company, Top Secret Design, Blood Lubricants, Dedicated Ride Co., FXR Gear, Thickwick, Rhino Power, JH2, Route 15 Cycles, Arai Helmet, Extreme Colors, Goldprint Brake, Asterisk Speed Races, Formal Boots, Recluse Motorsports, Tamer Whole Shot, Nunna Exhaust, Mica Metals, JM Racing, No Toil Filters, Bolt Motorcycle Hardware, Pirelli Tires, Dirt Trick Sprocket, Holiday Mowing, Tapped Out Moto, Pro MX Goggles, my family, friend, girlfriend, my huge thanks to my mechanic, kind of like crew chief type of guy this year, Jason Watkins. He's one heck of a dude. He goes all out every day, and you can't thank him enough. So, there's some more people I didn't even mention on that list. Sorry I forgot you, but man, it takes everybody involved to keep it going.
You can find him at Bubba Pauli on Instagram. He's very active on there, always posting stuff. It's a really good account to follow, so make sure you go and check that out. But we just want to congratulate you on the great finish last week, and good luck for the rest of the season. We'll definitely be pulling for you.
Thanks, guys. I appreciate it.
So that was Bubba Pauli. That blows my mind. Just all the Lime stuff. That stuff is crazy. It looks like he kind of made it out physically, but his bike, not so much. It is good that Feld reached out to them, though, and is trying to do something. But they have to. They have to, or they're getting sued for sure. They should get sued. Well, he doesn't blame the track. He doesn't really blame them as much, but I'm on the other side. I blame it all.
No,
I point the finger right at him.
I'm glad that he talked about it like, he was like, obviously they're not trying to harm anyone. They're just trying to do their job, and it just has a miscalculation, and this happened. But it's very unfortunate, and fortunate for him that he didn't get like the rest of the riders, I think, because
Chest protectors, man. No one wears chest protectors anymore. Looks like it paid off for him.
yeah, exactly. Yeah, so chest protector, and that was Bubba. Were you a friend of the show for sure?
Yeah, friend of the show. I actually think he might have been our first guest ever, which is cool.
Well, he's improving, and we're getting mains early in the year, going into the East Coast, and we can't hope but the best for him.
That's right. So make sure you follow him on Instagram at Bubba Pauli. Follow us on Instagram at MXSX Podcast. And is there anything else we should throw in this episode?
Make sure you guys tune in to our next episode, 168, where we're going to talk about 250 class, the new 250 class with the East Coast and the new riders. We're going to do our look into episode, and a bunch of things to talk about, a bunch of news. So see you guys the next time.
See you next time. Peace.